How do? Welcome back to Liquid Football with myself, Tenacious G. Today I'm joined by Yorkie Man and Dan LN07. I had to look then. But how are you both, guys? How are you feeling?
Not bad.
I'm good.
Awesome, yeah.
I'm good. Thanks for having me again.
No problem at all, mate. Welcome back. It's good. Always good to have. Well, I'm gonna say someone coming back, but you're the first one. So yeah. Right. Interesting week of football. VAR is definitely at the top of the list. Who wants to go first?
It's always top of the list, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but this week, man. I mean, obviously, with me and Matt being Leeds fans, it hurt us a lot more this week. With Patrick Bamford. We'll start with Patrick Bamford. We've got to do, haven't we? It's, for me, the worst one of the week.
100%.
Yeah. So it's got to be one of the worst offsides I've ever seen.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, pointing up, pass the ball there, and that is offside because of that. And
I think what makes it worse is how onside his feet were.
Yeah, I mean,
his feet are really onside. So because of the length of his arm, he was offside. It was crazy.
Go on.
I'd love to hear the VAR's reason, the referee's reason for this.
Right, so this is how it's been described to me. This is how the offside works. It's any part of your body that you can score where is offside, then it's offside. The handball rule now is up to where your sleeve is. Because where his sleeve was technically offside, that's why it was offside.
The thing that gets me, there's two things for me here, right? Firstly is, on a different angle, looks like there's a guy with his arse sticking out that could be beyond his arm, right? But
No,
it's inconclusive.
If they're working off that rule, he was definitely offside.
But
it's
secondly,
just that rule is absolutely horrendous.
Well, could they not say, where it's arms involved, you're not offside unless said arm is used to score the goal? Because if your feet and your head and all your body, everywhere else where you're supposed to score with, is onside, and your arm is not supposed to... Well, I know, but it's just like...
Changing the rule, wouldn't it? I mean, really, in reality, it'd just be nice if they could ref with just common sense. I know they're not supposed to with VAR. They're supposed to follow the rules to the book. But it would just be nice if they could just ref with common sense, because a player who's pointing where he wants the ball passing, who by his feet and the rest of his body is nowhere near offside, it's not even a close call, and it's not given. So it stops players being able to play correctly, which all the VAR, really, the results have caused that. All the VAR results have caused that. And it's happening everywhere, though. I thought it was just England, and everyone goes, refs are crap, VAR's crap. I saw Chelsea versus Stade Rennais. The player got a handball and a red card, which is one of the worst I've ever seen. Should have never been sent off. Definitely wasn't a handball. I'm not saying that Stade Rennais would have won the game. They probably would have still lost, but it was just ridiculous. It was stupid. So it's happening everywhere. At least it's not just happening. I mean, there was one in the MLS where Nani got sent off.
Oh, yes, this one.
For pretty much nothing.
Nothing.
Nani got sent off for pretty much nothing.
Went off in tears, didn't he, I think?
Yeah, I don't blame him. It's one of the worst red cards I've ever seen. Straight red as well. And he went and looked at it on the monitor. Did the ref, and still gave it. So we're seeing them like worldwide. We're not just seeing them in England, at least. So anyone who goes, it's English refs, it's not, is it? It's worldwide. It's really bad. But I don't know if it's VAR or if it's the rules. I personally stand on the standpoint that it's the rules.
It is
the letter of the law is really bad. The handball rule is really bad. And then you're going to get some howlers, like ref's interpretation of Nani's red. Yeah. He'll probably never ref a game again. So, you are going to get them. But I think the underlying thing is the rules. And the biggest one for me is the handball rule, because Bamford's not offside if it isn't for the handball rule. I think you have to take that away. A player should be able to point where they want the ball.
Okay, it's interpretation, isn't it?
Well, it needs to not be interpretation, though. That's the problem. VAR is supposed to not be interpretation. In reality, it's supposed to be by the book. And by the book, he was offside, apparently. So that's what needs to change, is the rule. A player, it's just a common sense of he's pointed where he wants the ball. A player should not be penalised for pointing where they want the ball. The same as a player can't be penalised for moving and their arms being in particular positions. Was it Alexander Arnold or Joe Gomez? Whoever gave away the penalty for Liverpool, I think it was Alexander Arnold. It's just he's moving backwards. Here's his arm.
It's like it's hit him here, isn't it? It's come from like here.
Cross,
like a running motion, isn't it?
Nothing he can do. The same in the Wolves Leicester get like. The problem is the rule. We've seen it all around now. There was no way Dalbert got sent off in Stade Rennais versus Chelsea, and he blocks it with his foot. So his arm is out to put his foot out. It bounces off his foot and onto his arm. It's a penalty and a red card. It's just the rule is really bad. But at least it's bad worldwide. You know? Not just in England. Bad everywhere, guys.
Yes.
What's your thoughts been of the old VAR system, Dan?
I'm starting to think that all the refs, every single ref, they all seem to look at the offside rule differently. And then in the VAR box, I think we saw against Liverpool, Man City, there's at least 3 of them in that box. So I'm guessing one of them is in charge.
Well, yeah, as far as I'm aware, you have 2 who are in the box, and then you have one that is like the chief adjudicator for the VAR. And sometimes you see them. We saw him come in for the Wolves one, and it looked like he was motioning that the player was running and couldn't get his arm out of the way, but it was still given. But yeah, so there's 3 people at the station, definitely.
So I'm just wondering if one of them is in charge. Say 2 of them think, oh no, that's not offside, but the one that's in charge does he instantly overrule them? Because it's getting stupid now. It really is.
I think they don't really understand what's going on themselves, probably. It must be hard to be a ref right now because you're getting slaughtered left, right, and centre, and you didn't write the rule book.
If they go against the decisions, though, they're probably not going to, like, for different reasons, not ref again in that league or whatever, or at least have a game or 2 off. So they're doing it for the job, aren't they? Because
by the governing body, if you just start going, nah, there's no way that's offside, we're not giving it, then they're not actually reffing by the letter of the law, which unfortunately is what VAR was there to do, is so that the game is ref by the letter of the law. And unfortunately, I don't think it's VAR that's ruining the game. I'd be interested what you guys think. I think it's the people. The rules.
It's the people and the rules combination of the 2 for me. That's what I think personally. Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say it's not just VAR that needs to be changed. It's also the whole offside rule when the flag goes up.
How do you mean?
Well, because before, when someone was offside, flag went up instantly. Now they let play continue, even if they think they're offside. Which, on one hand, I understand because you want to see if something comes off of that play. And if you put your flag up and something went offside.
I don't think there'd be any point in VAR, though, if you didn't have that rule.
I don't know. It's just...
And there has been moments where teams wouldn't have been given goals, where they've been flagged for offside after the goal. I think Rashford have one, and it turned out we were actually in his own half. We have seen it a lot where they do still flag for it, but the goal counts because they weren't actually offside. So I quite like that rule. I think if they put their flag up and the ref stopped play, there'd be loads of times where goals didn't go in that probably could have counted. Because we do see the line, it's difficult, isn't it, when we're talking fractions of inches. But I've seen a few this season that have counted that wouldn't have counted when the linesman's put his flag up afterwards.
No, I do see both sides of it. I'm just not sure I 100% agree with it. Because it wasn't the Pickford one in the Merseyside derby. I'm sure that was flagged offside and then that happened.
The problem is with the Pickford one is the ruling that they can't punish him after it's been given offside, as if that played on. I think that's the problem with that one. The goal shouldn't have counted, though, because he was offside. But there's no way, shape, or form that you can do what Pickford did
and get away with it,
and just not have any punishment, none, not even retrospective. So it's just kind of like that for me. That one's just such a grey area because you're told that if you've given the offside, then what happened after the offside didn't happen, basically. So the goal didn't happen.
I mean, to be fair,
it didn't happen, but you can't. What can you just punch someone that's offside? It don't matter. Like it just seems.
Yeah, it's a bit shit. I mean, to be fair, to in the Pickford situation, he did get probably some sort of mental punishment from all the fans giving him death threats, which is absolutely bang out of order. But it's unfortunately it's football, and that's what fans do. It's the ugly side of the game. But like you say, if something had happened beforehand and it had been dealt with there and then probably nothing would have been said, would it? You know,
I'd still be given abuse.
He'd be given abuse, but not to the extent. I don't.
Players get given abuse all the time. It's just an unfortunate side effect. When things aren't going well, there are always a small minority of fans that'll turn.
Oh, 100%, 100%. But I don't know. It's just annoying, especially going back to the Bamford one. Like, there's no Palace member of staff or player complained that it were offside or anything. No one batted an eyelid.
No one in that ground thought it were offside.
That is what's so annoying, because it's sort of so like, this is like I've said before, that maybe you should do challenges or something like that. But obviously it's easier said than done, and probably, I don't know, you kind of rubbished it off before, I think, if I remember rightly.
The problem with challenges is stuff would still get missed. So then you haven't VAR's there to stop stuff from getting missed, and when you go, oh, we'll do challenges then, stuff will still get missed, and then people will be like, well, we need more challenges because that just got missed. Yeah,
but if you've got challenges and you use them, it's tough. It's not the same as cricket.
So how many challenges would you say you get in a game?
Maybe 3 max.
I reckon you could use more than 3 in some games.
Oh, probably, yeah, but that's the thing. It makes it a little bit more interesting anyway than if something goes wrong.
That's the problem.
And you ain't got any challenges left. So shit, if you've wasted them on other things.
We probably shouldn't have had VAR.
Yeah, and bear in mind that if you do a challenge and you get it right, you keep your challenge. Because that's what they do in tennis. If you get it right, then you keep your challenges. If you get it wrong, then you lose it.
Tennis is a complete different game of football.
Yeah, I know it is, but I'm just using it as an example where if they get a call wrong, like someone says it's out and they say, no, it's not a challenge, and then it turns out the player's right to keep that challenge.
The coach decides if it's a challenge or not, right?
So, either coach or captain, I would say.
This is what I can remember, right? Rashford goes through, scores the goal. It gets given offside. He weren't actually offside because he was given the ball in his own half.
Yeah.
Solskjaer doesn't challenge it, then comes under extreme stick and a crap because he didn't challenge it.
But you can't put the blame on the unless they have a monitor to look at. I mean, but then that's
what I'm saying. Exactly. How does the manager know whether to challenge or not? There's some blatant ones, but there's ones like that I didn't know if he was onside or not. I thought he was offside. Turns out he wasn't.
Wait, you could, especially at this moment in time with no fans in ground, you could ask defenders, "What do you think, boys? Should we challenge it?"
You don't have time to do that.
Well, you get like 10 seconds.
In American football and tennis, you have time to do that in between sets and stuff. By
the time everyone gets back to halfway line, you could make a decision then.
Solskjaer can talk to his defenders and ask them if they think it was a challenge.
Well, you look over, they look over at him, and you go, yeah, no, that's it, and they'll say, yeah, or I don't know,
how would
challenge.
The defender know?
Well, if they think that someone was offside and they are convinced,
Okay, so the challenger, it's his last challenge. He gets it wrong, and then there's another moment in the game that definitely should be challenged. So that's the problem. That's not how football works.
We also rely on the players, to be honest.
All you're going to do then is have managers put under even more pressure because they didn't challenge it when they should have done. Well, why did they challenge that and listen to those stupid defenders when they challenge that one?
Well, I'm going to say it might be on the players themselves, then, might it?
Because and then you could challenge.
We'll see who's challenging.
Then you could challenge it and have a situation that Liverpool had where it probably wasn't offside but got given offside anyway. So you lose the challenge.
Oh yeah, but that's what it is.
They shouldn't have lost the challenge. We'd have lost the challenge with Bamford.
Well,
you didn't challenge it, but we'd still lose it.
Yeah, but on the technicality, which is a load of shit. But that's a different part of it. But what I mean is for like like with the offside, not offsides. Bollocks! Like the challenges, like the nanny.
With these challenges, right? How did it? Yeah, but you're pointing out minor things. There's several things.
That's not minor. Got sent off for fuck all.
No, but what I mean by minor is they barely ever happen. That's never happened before. We've seen that in VAR being around for 4 years, and that's never happened. A red card like that, ever, over all the games.
But the Bamford one wasn't disallowed to start off with as well. Just that's what I were on about before, because no one contested it, right? So don't contest it. No one's going to challenge it, either.
No, that's what. Yeah, but you're playing there on luck.
Well, what, look?
So then you might as well not have VAR. If no one's going to contest it, there's no point. It's not a chance.
VAR. There are going to be some that isn't there?
But that's what. Yeah, but you're still going to have the talking point of the ones that aren't, or the ones that don't get challenged that should have been challenged.
We're still getting it now. We're still getting that. We're still talking about VAR now.
You're right back to where you are. Then you don't go any further.
I'm just trying to think of a solution. That's what I'm doing.
There is no solution. The rules change,
right?
Or you don't have VAR. putting in a challenge system in football, and like you said, well, it'd be all right now because there's no fans in the stadium. We don't want that. The fans are back next season. They'd be asking you to challenge everything. How often does I shout for everything when I'm at a football game?
Rightly or wrongly.
Everything. I'm like, handball. I kicked him. Red card. Like none of it's right.
Get him off.
None of it's right.
Goalkeeper kicks it straight out of play. Our throw.
The system of doing challenges in that, because it's never been in football, it's a hostile environment, and it is heavily scrutinised by media. For me, the worst part is it hinders managers. Imagine how much scrutiny you come under if in a massive game. If in a massive game, you don't make the right challenge.
Realistically, how many bad mistakes where VAR is used on average in each game has there been?
Well, we've seen there must have been 14, 15 every week.
No, in a week. That's not in. Yeah, how many per game is that? 2 max
per game. It depends because there's.
That's what I mean.
Some games there's a lot of questionable stuff. We're talking about the times VAR's used and it hasn't. You remember the times that it was used and the decision was wrong,
right?
You don't remember all the times it was actually used in the game. So I couldn't tell you how many times it's used in a game, but I imagine it checks quite a lot of stuff throughout the game, whether it be handballs, red cards, offsides. But I couldn't tell you how many times it's used in a game. I only remember the times where it's gone wrong. I couldn't tell you how many times it was used in the Leeds game. I can only remember one, and it's the one they got wrong because of the silly rule. So
I think they checked our other goal as well.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But that's
no, just because they wanted just not to score.
It's easy. Well, that's just a classic fan statement. It's easy to say, oh, it doesn't get used that much, but I imagine it gets used quite a lot. And then it's down to your interpretation of was it offside, wasn't it offside? Was it a red, wasn't it a red? You could blow through those challenges super quick.
But that's another thing that we all on certain instances. What were it now? We're at the Villa game that it took 4 minutes to check.
I think they played like 62 minutes.
McGinn's goal.
It was ruled out. Ruled out by Ross Barkley was offside and apparently blocking the keeper's view. Which I can see. Yeah. If Barkley probably didn't jump, he does jump in front of the keeper. Like maybe not. It's hard to determine that one. It'd be a 50-50. You guys might think it was or wasn't. I thought you could get away with that decision, really.
It was one of them, wasn't it? Again, interpretation, again.
I think, but the problem is if you can interpret it and go, I can see why it was given, then it's fine. Because I can see exactly why it was given, because Ross Barkley does jump. He is directly in front of the keeper in an offside position. The shot comes literally just past him, so I can see why you wouldn't give that.
That's fair then. Fair comment. Right, you then, Dan.
What do you think, Dan? Yeah. Challenges. Do you reckon? Let's make it like American football and tennis and cricket.
Well, the next thing you're going to want the referee on loudspeakers. You can hear everything that he's discussing. You don't want that.
No, you can't, because players swear like motherfuckers.
Exactly.
They won't be allowed to anymore. You'd be fined for it.
See, this nanny challenge that you're talking about, I've not seen it.
So horrendous.
I'm going to have to look it up. But challenges, I don't think that would work. I think that's going to slow the game down even more than what VAR is doing.
Not more than 4 minutes?
I think VAR just needs to be fixed. It needs to be worked on.
Wait, is it VAR though, or is it just the rules that, like you say, and the personnel?
I think it's the rules. I think we slate the refs a lot, but I think it's got to be an extremely difficult job with the rule set that we've got now and the scrutiny they come under. I think the rule set is so far-fetched this year that I don't really understand. Because, I mean, both handballs this weekend were consistent. Both penalties were consistent in those two games. Like, they were very similar. Neither to me is a penalty. Neither to the majority of people. Neither to the ref might not be a penalty, but
I'm pretty sure both of them, they went to the screen as well, I think, for both.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So that backed up my
theory.
theory.
It twice again. Yeah.
What do you mean? They did?
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't give it to start off with VAR to give it. I'm sure it was.
I thought in the
definitely in the Leicester one.
I thought in the Wolves. I thought the Wolves Leicester game it was given.
No, I don't think so. Because we were like, because it was so far away. Because they slowed it down. You see, it looks worse, doesn't it? So I could have sworn that was the case. I could be wrong, but from what I remember watching, I might be getting mixed up with the one that they got given the second one. I don't know. Whether they went to VAR for that one or not, I don't know. But
I can't remember.
I seem to remember going to VAR at least once in that game for one of the 2 penalties.
They went to VAR a couple of times, I think.
Vardy missed, didn't he? Which Leicester, they didn't be fucking changing name to Varcester or whatever you want to call them, because 8 chuffing penalties they've got this season.
Oh, eight and 8, I think.
8 in 8 games. Well, two of them against.
There were 3 against Man City, weren't there? And then you got 2 against Wolves.
Was it 3 or was it 2?
Sure, it was 3 against Man City.
5-2. I know he got 2 goals from penalties. Yeah, you're right, because Tielemans took second one. The third one, sorry.
Yeah, so they got 3 from Man City, and then 2 against Wolves. Obviously, scored 1, missed 1.
Yeah, I think next nearest has got 4. I think.
They look good. They look. To be fair to Leicester, though, they look good.
They do look good. They do look good. Vardy, though, innit?
They've definitely signed well.
And you forget they're still missing players.
Yeah, I think Vardy's got a few mates this year, though. He's got. And who fucking knew that Fuchs would come out of nowhere and be great?
Well, he must be about 34, 35 now, something like that.
Nah, he's about your age, mate. 50.
What, 34, 35, yeah.
You wish. And Fofana.
He looks awesome, doesn't he?
Going to be a player.
He looks absolutely fantastic.
So this is what's interesting is your Burnley, G. They nearly signed Tarkowski for what would have been, I imagine, 50+ million and done a Man United with Mr. Maguire. And they've gone and spent, I think, was it 18 million? Can't remember rightly. But
where did they get him from?
It was Saint Etienne.
Saint Etienne, GL. What was it, 19?
Steele.
Yeah. And he was the understudy to Saliba, who's at Arsenal now.
But what you got to remember is Leicester seem to have a good relationship, because Mahrez came from France as well, didn't he? Yeah. And N'Golo Kante.
Second tier, I think you are.
They do well at recruiting good young players from the French league.
Kind of reminiscent of Brentford, I guess, a little bit. If you argue, maybe.
Yeah, to a degree. What I'll also give them is, we've slated Iheanacho a couple of times, but he was brilliant midweek. He was absolutely fantastic midweek. And this is the thing, what's scary is they're rotating, playing in the Europa League and still performing. Yeah. They're still playing the way you'd expect them to play. So, no, really impressed with Leicester.
The only thing, I suppose...
And they do it over a season.
I'm going to say, because look at the back end of last season, they fell apart, they crumbled. Yeah. They crumbled, and it's whether they've got that mindset, whether they got over that mindset, because that was similar to us.
More depth this season. They've definitely got more strength in depth. You've got you've got Fofana coming in. They've definitely got more strength in depth this year, I would say. But again, can they do it through a season? And can they score when Vardy's not on the pitch? Is always going to be that question mark, isn't it? But I still think they're playing really well, whether he's on the pitch or not.
This is something that I touched on the first time I was here. I said about certain teams losing key players. Leicester losing Vardy, Liverpool losing Van Dijk, Southampton, Ings. I'm sure I touched on base on all of them in my last time.
I think you might have been wrong, because Liverpool have lost Van Dijk and will still probably win the league, and Southampton lost Ings and absolutely battered Newcastle.
They played awesome, didn't they?
They're getting injuries though, Liverpool, aren't they? Arnold's now out for 4 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, but they're getting players back as well. You've got Fabinho and Thiago coming back in the next game after international break, which will definitely help them. I think a lot of it now is, how do you manage with the injuries? Can you carry on winning without the injuries? And I think still I would worry up top for Leicester, to be fair. Like, if Liverpool lost Firmino, you'd still expect them to get goals. If they lost Salah, you'd still expect them to get goals.
Jota's scoring, isn't he, as well?
So you'd still expect that. But whereas I feel like with Leicester, Maddison doesn't do enough for me in terms of in front of the goal. He's brilliant on the ball, brilliant in the middle of the park, but just for me as kind of a cam.
Under the outlet for goals.
Yeah. Right and left wing is still a bit weak for me. They don't score enough. Under could change that. And Harvey Barnes is having a much better season this year. It's just, can they still get goals up top? I don't think their strike force is as interchangeable, Leicester's. I think that's the only downside. I thought that the way Southampton play, and I know Danny Ings he's been brilliant. He's been doing fantastic. Scored loads of goals. But I just feel like the way they play, they've got more goal scorers in the team, whether it be Redmond, Ward-Prowse. I've been really impressed with Che Adams when he's played him. So I just always felt like they had more in their team that was probably going to contribute than what maybe Leicester do if they lose Vardy.
Well, we seem to have that whole debate about where Walcott's best position is again. Because with Ings being out, he was playing further forward.
He missed the sitter as well.
He did. He should have scored.
Did all the work, got himself into a beautiful position, and then put it wide. And that's probably been Walcott's career, really, hasn't it? I think when you break it down and you think of Theo Walcott, he probably should have been an Olympic runner because he was so quick as a youngster, like so quick, and he's just one of those players that never really found his talent or his goal scoring boots, and it's let him down throughout his career. I mean, when they signed him, he was going to be striker, wasn't he? I mean, we even took him to the World Cup or Euros. He came along to a big tournament anyway. Didn't play, but like Rooney-esque at that time.
That when he was 17, wasn't it? I remember that. It was Sven, wasn't it?
Before him at 17, and then the tournament after that, we brought Theo, and it's just weird. He's a weird one. I've always found it very strange. I think injuries definitely plays a part, but he's one of the long list of players that could have been special and hasn't. I mean, Dominic Solanke's just disappeared off the face of the earth. He was like one of the best goal scorers, especially in terms of under 21s, 4 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Now you might see him once in a blue moon. You got players like Jack Wilshere as well, and it's just a shame that sometimes that happens with talent that is expected to be the next big thing. Walcott for me was going to be the next big thing.
I think Jack, you just touched on Jack there. Jack Wilshere, he's become a free agent, and he's
yeah, he has. I think he'll go to America probably. But if you look at Southampton in that academy line at that time as well, Bale and Walcott. But you'd have tipped both of them. Like at that time, Walcott was just as good as Bale. You expected both to do really. In fact, you knew less about Bale.
Yeah, Bale was,
and he were a left back.
Was behind him in terms of potential at the time. It seemed.
Didn't have any clue what Bale would really do.
Well, left back, wasn't he as well?
Yeah, well, I've just said that.
Sorry,
just repeated exactly. But Theo was like the man. He was going to be the next big thing, and just him and Danny Welbeck, and then it just never happened. And when I think of that. Right, and this is probably wrong, and people probably slate me for this. I feel that could easily be the same for Rashford. If he doesn't change, his heyday could have been years before, like these years that we've seen building up now. I think if he carries on down the same road, people will improve. People will end up ahead of him.
Well, the last few weeks, in my opinion, Rashford's been showing glimpses of the player that we all knew he could be.
But, he has moments.
Yeah, that's the problem. He seems to come and go depending on the game. But,
Martial does the same now.
Well, there's a big question mark over Martial. I mean, what is his best position? I don't think he even knows.
No, he probably doesn't, does he? And this is the thing, right? You probably want, and this sounds like we're Ollie bashing every week, but they're the hot topic, right? Man United has to be the hot topic because they're the bipolar team that we talk about so often. I mean. They lose in Turkey, dreadfully. Big up Demba Ba. They lose in Turkey. Well happy to see that man score. I couldn't believe it. When I saw his name on team sheet, I was like, fuck no. Demba Ba? 35-year-old Demba Ba.
Blast from the past.
From halfway line. He's still got it.
I must have looked at that. Yeah, I must have looked at that goal several times trying to work out how he was so far onside. I
think he needed to be where he was, or else he didn't have the legs to actually get to goal.
It's just so bizarre that it comes from a Man United corner, and then the closest player to them.
They had so many players up. It's like he was wearing camouflage, and no one could see him. He was dressed as white lines and green turf because seriously, no one was anywhere near him. Like no one was He picked up the ball and had a jaunt up the pitch and then slotted it into the back of the net. But those results keep happening. We say it 1 minute, oh, they're crap. Next minute, oh, Ollie's done a great job there. And I'm not buying it. They're constantly up and down. They're going to be constantly up and down all season, in my opinion. They might have flashes of greatness, and they've got some great players, Bruno Fernandes, McTominay, and Fred. That should be your midfield, Manchester. That should be your midfield.
Not Van der Beek.
No. You interchange Van der Beek and Bruno, but I don't know how you don't have Bruno in your team.
Yeah,
I think if Bruno's fit, Bruno's in the team.
Good players, yeah.
And McTominay and Fred just make them so much more secure in centre mid. They make them so much more secure. That's how they should play, in my opinion. Pogba doesn't do enough, doesn't offer enough. Should have sold him when you could have got money from Real Madrid, because I don't think anyone wants a hand in him at this stage.
No.
Maybe Paris at some point, he could go there. But for me, if Bruno, let him be in a complete free role as a number 10 behind whoever's up top, and sit your two centre mids in there. Sit hard workers are Fred and McTominay, really hard workers. And I'd just keep them two in there and let Bruno be your flair player. I feel like they're trying to do too much going forward. Let's face it, Man United aren't good going forward. They scored a lot of goals last season because of penalties. Like, they're not great going forward. Martial's either a world beater or shouldn't even be on the pitch. And Rashford's the same. He'll either score every opportunity he gets or he'll fluff them all. Like Raheem Sterling has that in him. The difference for Raheem Sterling is he's surrounded by fucking world beaters. He's surrounded by, superstars. And Rashford isn't afforded that. He isn't. That front line is really weak, in my opinion. I don't know how good Rashford and Martial are. It's like Dan said, I have no idea how good they are. Sometimes I'm like, God, Martial's unbelievable. Did you see how he did that? Some of his footwork, impressive. I just don't. But on a weekly basis, you don't know what Manchester's going to turn up. But I think that should be their midfield. They're way more secure playing like that.
It seems like
terrible defense.
It seems like that's what Ole is doing at the moment because he does trust Fred and McTominay. But obviously, when you've got a player like Pogba and you know what he can do when he is on form.
But when did he last do it?
That's the problem. He's too hit and miss. Or if he goes off to France, then he becomes a world superstar. But when he comes back to United,
at the World Cup, I want to see what he does at France this next tournament. Because he did all right in that World Cup squad, don't get me wrong, but again, surrounded by some talent. Talent. And he had a player in that centre mid that meant that he could make as many mistakes as he wanted, really, because N'Golo Kante were going to look after it all for him. And that's the problem. But I could see Pogba potentially working in a cam role and still playing McTominay and Fred. But I see no way that Man United are winning the midfield battle against the majority of teams when they have Pogba, Bruno, and Fred or McTominay, either one in that team. I think they aren't as organised. They don't look as good. They're not as defensively sound. And personally, I think they struggle a lot more. I remember, right? Let's remember the end of season run for Manchester United, right? It did so well. It got them top 4. They finished 3rd, was it in the end? I think they finished 3rd. They looked really good. Their midfield, as far as I remember, Pogba was injured.
Yes.
So their midfield was Bruno, McTominay, Fred, and if Matic was fit, Matic every now and again. It worked. Look at the results. Look at the league run they went on. New season comes around, they sign another centre mid that they don't need because he's not your powerhouse in that midfield. He's very creative, brilliant going forward. You've got that. You've got Bruno. And you've still got Pogba. So now Ollie's got this conundrum. How do I play all 3 together? In fact, how do I play 2 of them together? Because I know our best form has been when just one of them's been on the pitch, Bruno. And I've played my 2 holding mids. That's when we've played our best football. And I think it just got proved again. They cut those 3 midfielders. Maybe you figure out how to work Donny. Maybe you get him to track back and be a hard worker and play box to box. Maybe. But there is no way that midfield works, in my opinion, on a weekly basis with just one of Fred or McTominay holding and Bruno and Pogba just getting forward because their defence isn't strong enough.
Well, obviously, he's been trying to use that midfield trio, with only one defensive minded, and obviously it was coming in for a lot of stick, and there was talk of him getting replaced if he did get a decent result against Everton. I mean, they said they had Poch lined up. So
yeah, but he went and got a terrible result in Turkey, didn't he?
That's why that was like the final. It's pretty much the final nail. So. Well, they had Arsenal, and then obviously it was the Poch stuff, like you said, was after the game in Turkey. But it's like if they hadn't got a positive result, we might have been talking no longer about Solskjaer. We might have been talking about Poch coming in. But it's like you say, he's like hanging on by the skin of his scrot, and he gets a result, and it keeps him in the job for a little bit longer. Like I said, bipolar. It's just weird because Everton, I know they've had a bit of bad form recently, but they're still a very good team. On paper, and where the Man United have been playing.
Goal.
Yeah.
Bernard goal. When he scored, I thought, they're back.
Yeah.
They're back. And to be fair, 3-1 flattered Man United.
Oh, 100%. 1,000%.
It definitely flattered them. It looked more to me that Everton were going to make it 2-2 at that stage.
There only one team going to score, wasn't there? in second half.
That's good for Cavani getting a goal as well, because maybe he'll be able to get out of his stride a little bit. But I don't know. When you look at how they line up, I don't know who goes in there and changes that, but I just think it's such a disjointed squad that I really don't know how they play. I don't know how their system is, right? Because they want to play an advanced midfielder, right? They want to play someone who's going to be advanced, but they don't play a dedicated DM like Chelsea do from time to time. They'll always have someone that sits in the hole, that sits back, sits in the pocket. But Man United don't seem to do that. So they seem to be playing like a 4-2-3-1, which you don't see as often anymore. Used to be the shit, but you don't see it as much anymore. Now you see like a 4-3-3 quite often. So he's trying to play with a cam in reality. But your problem is if you're playing Bruno that far forward, which I agree works, you should be playing there. Fred, we were talking about him being terrible. They spent loads of money on him. He's crap. I don't know why we signed him. Fickle fans, you get them. Oh, it's rubbish. I don't know why we signed him. And everybody knows, right, that a player doesn't just become rubbish overnight. He wasn't a world beater that can attract that amount of money overnight. It doesn't work like that. So clearly the system wasn't working for like Lukaku. Oh, he's crap. He's rubbish. He can't score. He's overweight. That doesn't just happen overnight when you're a pedigree top striker. And we've seen exactly with Lukaku what that meant. He went off. He's scoring goals for fun. So Fred, for me, was always a good player. Always a really good, hard-working midfielder. And I always saw him running around like a headless chicken with really not that much direction. And he was covering for Pogba the entire time. He's playing next to Pogba, who's selfish. He runs forward needlessly with the ball. He gives the ball away a lot, which puts him in uncompromising positions. His output definitely isn't worth him losing the ball as often as he does. There are very, very few moments of greatness from him, if we're being honest. And I think that made Fred look dreadful and McTominay look dreadful. You play them two together, and they look like such a hard-working midfield. They look like a midfield that are going to try and dominate. They're going to try and win the ball back. They're going to cause you problems. They're not going to be easy to break down. And is Ollie under pressure to make sure that his 3 star centre mid signings and, two of the most recent ones in Van der Beek and Bruno are on the pitch? Is his arm kind of twisted with that? Because he's favoured them throughout the majority of the start of the season, and they've been awful.
I'm not even sure it was Ollie that signed Van der Beek.
I definitely wasn't. I don't think Ollie signed a single player since he's been there.
So I still think Van der Beek was brought in to replace Pogba because they thought Pogba was going. And now they've got a problem because they've extended his contract for another year.
I can't remember, was it them that activated it, or it Pogba?
Yeah.
Was it them?
I think it was the club because they
wanted to try and at least get some money out of him, I guess, if they can. But they'll do, at this rate, they'll do well to get half the money back.
Yeah.
Well, where's he go?
That's the thing. See,
PSG maybe, because it's France.
He could go back to Juve. He did look good there. Pirlo's there, who played with him now. And there is rumours that Ronaldo might go.
I do wonder if Madrid will spend this summer because they didn't this summer. So next summer,
maybe. The summer before, though, they spent a lot, didn't they, on players that haven't really come out, like Philo Mendy, and you've got Jovic, and is it the Japanese guy, and the Brazilian lad, Rodrigo. So, you could be right there.
Hazard got signed, so I reckon that probably stopped them signing anybody else. They have got an aging squad, so if he was going to go anywhere, maybe there.
Oh, is he 27 now? 27, I think, isn't it, Pogba?
Yeah, I think he's 27.
So.
You could say the same for Barca, really, couldn't you?
Well, yeah.
They're going to have Barca are going to have a hell of a lot of money if Messi walks away.
Yeah.
Barca are going to have, you're talking, what, it's got to be close to $1 million.
Well, yeah, just like wages and bonuses alone, isn't it? Yeah.
Like 500k, and then you add everything on top of that. Like, so you're talking a lot of money Messi frees up if he goes.
But do you think if they lose Messi, they lose a lot of sponsorship? Because with him being such a big draw.
Well, yeah, you're going to lose some to a degree, but I think Barca's a big draw, right?
Oh, of course it is, but Messi's
have been. So
Messi and Ronaldo, top two, isn't it?
I think your argument could be, well, what were the draw for them beforehand? I don't feel like Real Madrid lost their draw a bit, although I feel like they're way worse off without him when they lost Ronaldo. I still think, they still spent big. They still had money. They still, it's still Real Madrid. I feel like Barca and Real Madrid falling off is always going to be really difficult just because of the name they command. I think if they want a player, they realistically can get that deal, because a lot of clubs look at it and say, well, you can't not let the player go to Barcelona or Real Madrid.
You can't let Martin Braithwaite go to Real Barcelona.
Well, if they played him more, they might be doing better. Although they did smash Real Betis at the weekend, but I could see him at Barca. I could see him at Madrid, PSG, Juve again. Juve link could work. If Ronaldo does go, that frees up quite a lot of money. And Pirlo and Pogba played together, and Pogba looked his best with Pirlo behind him. So that could definitely be an option or something that Juve may go for. They're going to want to revamp after betting big on Ronaldo, and really, Ronaldo's done well at Juve, but nobody else has. So, in terms of Champions League, that is, they're still dominating the league. So, but I think Inter are getting closer and closer to them. So they're going to have to make a move at some stage to try and upgrade. So maybe that's a deal that could happen, but there's not many clubs that could afford him.
There's always China.
For his wage.
I think China have got a restriction now.
Is that what it is?
You can't spend as much, and you've got to have. They've done like that designated player situation like the MLS.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking because obviously, not normally you think it'd be older players that go, but I'm thinking back to, and Dan will remember it, Oscar going, and what were he like, 25? 25, 26 or something?
Decision.
It was really weird.
Couldn't believe that one. Couldn't believe it.
I mean, he reminds me in a way a bit like Barkley at Chelsea at the moment.
Fucking unambitious.
He was a great player when he was in the team. He'd have his moments, but he was never fantastic. But
I really like him.
I couldn't.
I couldn't believe it. That's the sort of move you see it as you enter in your 30s at the very earliest.
He was one of the first of the younger ones to go, though. And you saw players like Axel Witsel, Yannick Carrasco. You saw a few go over there at the same time, and they got paid big money. Like the payday for Oscar will have been the best it's ever been and ever will be. But I was just a bit devastated at the time because I always really liked him. I thought he was nippy, dangerous.
Oscar's.
You speak of Barkley. I just don't see why that was. I think that's a terrible deal. I think Villa just came out absolutely fantastic. Roses with that deal. Barkley's been great for them. He's just his injection of energy every now and again. On the pitch, like you say, he's not always consistent, but every now and again he'll do a burst. He'll have a lung busting run. He'll get into a dangerous area, and he's just more than worth. He pulls players out of position as well, which is really helpful.
He's playing regularly as well for Villa, so that's helping him a lot to show his talent. I still rate
that's
Barkley,
been the problem, hasn't it?
Yeah, I still think when he comes back, he can do a job for us. I'm optimistic.
Do you think he'll come back, or do you think a deal between Villa and Chelsea will probably be made permanent at some stage?
As far as I'm aware, there's no deal in agreement.
No.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to keep him.
But do you think Chelsea would want him back?
Homegrown quota, maybe?
It depends.
Well, they don't need the homegrown quota with him now, do they?
It depends.
But it might change if someone goes.
Kante and Jorginho, because they've been linked with leaving. Inter Milan want half our squad, so I don't know.
I think Barkley's time at Chelsea, from my standpoint, well, especially what Lampard's there's done. Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, Hudson-Odoi, Ben Chilwell, they fill their English quota a piece of piss.
Yeah, I know Lampard holds Gilmore in high regard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as well. He's been good.
Just don't see room for him there. And to be fair, if I was to liken him to any of your centre mids, I'd liken him to Mason Mount. So, and Mason Mount will always be in that Chelsea team as long as Lampard's around.
That's a good point.
Got golden goose. So I just don't see where there's room for Barkley
and look,
there.
if he has a good season, they might get a decent price for him as well. From Villa, might talking maybe 15-20 million at least. That's something towards financial fair play. I guess.
I think if you got 20 mil from him from Villa, I think it's a good deal for someone who you're not going to use. And you haven't used all season.
Yeah, this is also Chelsea's problem. They're always offering contracts to these players that they're loaning out. So, for example, Jamal.
I think they're scared to do another Kevin De Bruyne.
Possibly. But I know that one stands in my head is Jamal Blackman.
Yeah, we know him.
Goalkeeper.
Yeah, we had him on loan. We had him on loan.
Still plays for you. I've been loaning him on Football Manager for it feels like the past 15 years. I can't believe he still plays there. He's never done all. He's the League One goalkeeper.
He's made the bench a handful of times, but before this loan to, I want to say Northampton, I think, he signed a new deal. And it's like, I don't understand it.
Is that where he's gone? He's gone to Northampton?
I think he's gone to Northampton on loan.
Because he came to us and broke his leg, didn't he? That was a problem. In an under-23 game as well.
At that stage, he was a really hotly touted young goalkeeper. I think just over the years now, it's got to a stage now where it's just like he's not. He might be a good third choice goalkeeper at Chelsea at some stage, but he's nothing special. Like I say, he's a League One, League Two goalkeeper.
I think technically he's our longest serving player at the moment.
Not surprised.
Chelsea have a history of that though. Josh McEachran and when you look at it though, you've got players like Nathaniel Chalobah as well. Is at Watford. Who I rate highly. He was a Chelsea boy as well. So
I was a fan.
You do have that nice. I think so many of those players have probably got holiday homes in the Netherlands because they've spent that much time there on loan.
Chelsea B team.
It's Vitesse, isn't it? Vitesse Arnhem. Is that where they all go? Yeah, because we had Lewis Baker.
Kennedy
he went there
was there as well, wasn't he?
Kennedy.
I forget that Kennedy were a Chelsea player.
He still is.
Is he?
Yeah. Technically, he still is. I forget.
He's the second longest serving player.
I think he's gone to Spain somewhere. I think he's gone to Spain, but he is. Yeah.
He's got to be up there.
They do it to make money, I think, don't they? Basically, the loan players out. They do perform well. They can get a fee for them, can't they? Get it for next to no. It just takes a few years to get that money. They were sent. Who are sent about now?
Do they get fees for players though, really?
They'll get maybe $5 million. It's better than like the $100,000 they probably pay for these players. You know what I mean?
But it's not that though, is it? It's the money that you've spent.
Yeah, like wages wise and stuff.
In them over the 5 years.
Depends
before
on wages, doesn't it? I guess, and they might have like a wage increase if they play so many games, and if they never hit that,
facilities, traveling, you've got you've got.
Yeah, but if you say traveling, but a lot of players will travel together to like games and stuff like that, won't they? And like even
hotel rooms and stuff.
Well, yeah, but they'll share with someone, so they've been paying for it anyway.
That's not how it works.
No, I suppose if you signed in multiples.
Businessman. I would pay for a room anyway.
Yeah, just let him sleep on the floor. It's fine.
Yeah. It's a weird. They've had that business plan for a long time now with Chelsea. They have a lot of players that you could realistically say are at least like League One Championship level that they just seem to keep hold of and keep putting for, like the fact that they've still got Kennedy. And just they've done that forever. Lucas Piazzon as well was one. They've done that for such a long time. And then now obviously we've seen a stage where a few come through, Tammy and Mason Mount and Reece James and Tomori.
I think Reece James is going to be some player though. I really do think that he's versatile.
Reece James as well. For me is going to be the right back for England at some stage.
Not ahead of Trent, you think? Because everyone wanks over Trent, don't they, to be fair?
Oh, you've got those two. They basically could be interchangeable at any stage.
Yeah. I know he played for Wigan, didn't he, DM? And I remember him being best player by an absolute country mile, only like 18, 19.
He was way too good for Wigan.
Oh, 100%. He wouldn't show against us, and when we couldn't break him down, he was controlling everything. Sorry, Dan, I cut you off then.
That's all right. I was just going to say, for me, Trent, I've not seen the same player that you see for Liverpool when it comes to England.
Not this season. Neither. I don't think he started as well.
You could say that with a lot of players, though, couldn't you? Of note, one that I did see, which was interesting, because we need to stop playing Kieran Trippier there, Aaron Cresswell for England. He's having a really good season.
He's having a good
season.
Offensive
wing back.
And he's about 30, so it makes you wonder whether he'll go for it.
No, he's younger than 30.
I'm not sure. I thought we were getting on a bit.
Probably depends on the formation that Gareth will play. If he plays the back three, Cresswell might get in there. I don't think you'd see Cresswell as your starting left back if he goes with a back four.
No, probably not. I think he's definitely better suited offensively. I think West Ham use him great on the counter and in an offensive capacity. So, but I think the season he's having, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't go to the Euros.
Well, speaking of England, and I know you touched on this a while ago, but Bamford's name...
I was just about to say it. I'm just about to say that.
I don't want him to play for England.
No, he'll get injured.
I don't see. My issue right now with England, right, is I hate the style of football we're playing. So I want none of the players at my team going and playing that football and coming back deflated because the team's done crap. I don't want my team doing that. That's fine. Just leave us. Let us be quiet, under the radar, and crack on with what we're doing.
Conceded 8 goals in 2 games.
Playing brilliantly, right? Bamford's playing brilliantly, but at the end of the day, he's a confidence player.
Yes,
and right now he's riding high, and he's playing fantastically. He's getting in great positions. His movement's good. In really a squad that is a championship level team. I think people forget that with Leeds because the media talk us up so much. We're a championship that there's not many new players.
Well, that been for the last couple of games, has there?
We're a championship level squad. So when people are like, I've seen it a lot on Twitter. Oh well, Leeds are falling apart now. It's all unraveling.
Yeah.
If you watch the 2 games, you could see that 4-1 flattered both teams. 4-1 just made us look dreadful. But if you watch the game, it was way more even than, what it looked like. Bamford missing a couple of chances against Leicester. We didn't get the goal given for Bamford against Palace. But we put in our own downfall. I mean, we had one of the flukiest own goals I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen out like that before in my life. It's so unlucky.
You could never do that again if you tried.
An unbelievable free kick that
yeah.
no one's saving this year. No one's saving that. So, we're still, with Leeds, we're still in this situation that we don't know what we are this year. We never expected us to be world beaters. We just want to stay up and finish in a comfortable staying up so you don't have to panic at the back end of the season. That's all we care about. We're missing a lot of good players, but
I was just going to say, that team, really quick, that team was actually weaker than any of the teams that we put out last season, barring maybe the last 2 games where we were already up. Because we had no Phillips, right? We had no Phillips. We had Cock instead of White, and then obviously
so basically
we had Dallas at Middle Park.
You're saying Cock's subpar though there. Because arguably, if you looked at that squad compared to the squad in the Championship, and you're saying that Cock is White's replacement.
Well, I'm just saying that's the only difference. But you got
games without Phillips.
Yeah, no, but we had Ben White playing in the middle.
Championship side.
Yeah, but you got Strike playing a defensive midfield. I'm sorry, but that weakens us massively. We had no Hernandez, no Rodrigo.
I don't think he played very well.
And because as a result, I don't know, but the only player that I think has been consistent in the middle has been Click, and he's had moments when he's not performed that well.
He was terrible against Leicester.
Against Leicester, he was.
It was a lot better against Palace. He was making stuff happen.
But I think across the whole season, he's probably done arguably the best apart from Bamford, you would say.
Bamford's been our best player
by a country mile. And who just said that at the start? See, a lot of Leeds fans are split on Bamford, and they have been for a long time. But I don't think you can fault him this season. You can't fault him this season at all.
About him this season.
They can't. They've got no reason to complain. They're all saying, "Oh, he won't get 5 goals. He's already surpassed that."
Yeah, we need.
He should have had 8. Yeah. Well, yeah. But
I think Aylin's done really well as well.
It's an all right. I think he were poor against Palace. I think he was, but it's first real.
All right against Palace, but
all right, but not like for the rest of the
season. I don't think Cooper's good enough for the Premiership. We're starting to see that, and Cock is starting to become a liability.
Yeah,
for me, I'm seeing, and I don't mind seeing the odd mistake, but I'm just seeing so much from him. He gave away the free kick, which was ridiculous. Like there was just no need for him to do what he did. He didn't try and contain. He just basically just kicked him for no reason in a dangerous position. He's just a petty free kick to give away. And every single time Leicester or Palace attacked us, I thought we were going to concede.
I was the
because
same.
Our defence at the moment looks shocking. And there's glimpses from the attack going forward that look good. But our defence does not seem to be digging in like it did against teams like Man City. And that's what, for me, that's what we need to fix.
But is that Liam Cooper coming in because he's played 2 games and we conceded 8 goals? Is it coincidence?
I don't know. I'd argue Cock was at fault for at least 1 goal against Palace and 2 against Leicester. So maybe it's the partnership. Maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just a little bit of form. You get it, don't you? Every team isn't on form all the bloody time. And we are missing a few key players.
Laurent, ain't there, who's yet to make his debut. I mean, he's billed as a really good player.
Really high hopes for him. Really high hopes. But for me, the back line is shocking.
As it stands, yeah.
And the keeper, we already knew that he can, sometimes he's going to be good, sometimes he's not. He's getting definitely proving he's a lot better at shot stopping, but some moments he just makes mistakes, and it's a problem. And going forward, I think really we're so used to us attacking like a unit, but really apart from Bamford, I haven't been that impressed with us going forward. And Rodrigo,
Rodrigo's been good, but like he's
Rodrigo,
coronavirus on it.
Fit, yeah, Rodrigo when he got fit started to look really impressive going forward, asking a lot of questions. And every time Paveda or Rafinha's come on the pitch, I've been impressed.
I agree with that.
Apart from that, I haven't really been impressed with us going forward. I've actually been more disappointed because I'm used to seeing us be more potent going forward and causing more problems. I feel like Palace kind of coasted past us, and
it seemed easy, didn't it? I said tonight I felt like it could be 6 by end of game, because they just looked so dangerous going forward, and we just didn't at all. We didn't look capable of stopping them, and it's so frustrating because we're now like the league's, we've conceded the most goals in the league, and that is concerning to me more than anything. I think we'll still score goals. We'll still score goals.
Yeah,
but we're conceding a lot.
Right. So, and I said it after the Wolves game. My biggest worry this season is playing against teams that sit back. We've lost 3 games against teams that sit back. Wolves.
I didn't feel like Palace did as much as the other two. Though. I thought Palace took it to us a few times, especially first 20 minutes in particular. They seemed to be all over us.
I felt like the let us come forward, knew we couldn't break them down, and then absolutely because they got so much pace. Forward. Ayew, Eze, Zaha, Van Aanholt, like going forward, so much pace. I still feel like they counted against us.
Yeah.
I just think every time they got to counter a lot, we were sloppy with the ball, and I think every time they came forward, it just looked like an attack that they were gonna score goals. They just were really gonna punish us. I feel like with the Leicester game, we dominated Leicester more, but gave them the game basically with our individual errors. And with the Palace game, it was just terrible marking, terrible defending. For the 4th goal,
I was really disappointed with Palace.
Shite defending. But I've always said the teams that sit back against us are going to punish us. At this level, teams are clinical, and if you can't defend, we're going to have problems. The teams that we've done best against have played openly. So touchwood, Arsenal.
I'm going to say we've got Arsenal next, haven't we? And they got smashed by Villa.
Against us, we'll get goals and it'll be an open game of football. It'll be a back and forth game of football. Both teams will be tired. But if we let teams sit in, West Ham, Wolves, Palace, Leicester, they're going to dominate. They're going to be the teams that are going to be our biggest challenge this season.
The Arsenal fans I've spoken to, they think you'll win.
Yeah, their confidence is going to be a bit shot if they've got beat 3-0 by Villa and we beat them 3-0. But then again, it just shows that, again, anyone can beat anyone at the moment.
I think the thing is with Arsenal this season, they've been really bad, right? If you think about it, they look all right.
4 wins, 4 losses.
They look all right, but if you look at the wins, they haven't been clinical. They haven't been great. They haven't been prolific in any way. They've done really well in Europe, actually, to be fair to them. They've looked really good in Europe. Maybe he should be playing Joe Willock a little bit more. And
he looks good, doesn't he?
He looks fantastic. Lacazette did miss a sitter, though, for me as well.
Could name about 4 or 5 players that they should be playing ahead of the ones that they are.
Yeah, I agree. They haven't looked good all season. Although they've won 4 games, they didn't look good against Man United either in reality. Their press was nice, but they barely created anything going forward. I don't think that would have been a draw for me if it weren't for the penalty. So, it does not surprise me. If I was an Arsenal fan, I would be a little bit worried just because of the performances. All season have been very similar. They've just kind of, we won this one. Like they haven't battered anyone. They haven't looked
just kind of coasted a little bit.
At the end of last season, yeah. Aubameyang hasn't been firing like he was. Lacazette's missed a lot of gilt-edged chances. I'd be worried if I was an Arsenal fan as well that they aren't hitting top form.
I think the very first game for them against Fulham gave them false hope that this was going to be an amazing season, especially with Willian, because obviously he got 3 assists on his debut.
They looked really good that opening day, but haven't looked the same since.
But yeah, since that game, Uber hadn't scored until Man United game. Willian still hasn't got an assist. They're not good.
They've definitely got some shining lights in. I think Gabriel looks good. I think Thomas Partey,
he's definitely improved them.
Thomas Partey's a brilliant signing. Surprisingly, El Neni looks decent.
Yeah, he's come out of nowhere, hasn't he?
Need to play Willock more. I've been impressed with Pepe when I've seen him this season.
He needs to play more.
He needs to play more. And they need to stop having so much faith for me in Lacazette. I think Lacazette's time is done, in my opinion. He squanders too many chances. I don't know. There seems to be this reliance.
Right. So on Leeds versus Arsenal, something that I've been quite impressed with Leeds, and I admitted on the last time I was here that I wasn't sure what to take of Leeds because I didn't follow them in the Championship like you guys, obviously. But Ayling has been quite impressive, I thought. So I didn't realise he almost acts like an extra attacking player, like an extra right winger.
Brilliant.
He's so far up there. He's almost like a Trent in a way. He's more upfield, I think, than he is down the back, but he still covers his defensive duties. So he's impressed me so far this season, along with Harrison as well. But a question that's been floating around was about Phillips. Are Leeds missing Phillips? And it's like, well, obviously they're missing Phillips, but I think it's dangerous to float that question because you are getting towards the point of thinking our Leeds a one-man team, and you're not. But obviously he provides a lot for your team, but you should have players that can step in and fill the void.
That's where I think we're lacking in that position.
It's a weird one though, isn't it? Because before he got injured, I weren't particularly happy with the way he was playing. The best
I remember saying,
was against Liverpool. And on that, I don't really like Harrison this year. The best I've seen him play again was against Liverpool, but actually he played fairly well against Palace.
Really? I didn't think he was that great.
I thought he played all right. I thought of our wingers, he was the best against Palace. But I don't think we're a one-man team because if we play everything so much as a unit, but I think if you've got a weak link in the team, then the team doesn't play anywhere near as well. And when Click played there against Leicester, he made a lot of mistakes, which really hurt the team. So whoever does play in that position really needs to be as mistake-free as possible. And, Pascal Strike's just not... He's just not that player,
It's our fourth-choice centre-back.
Yeah. Because you're asking, as you say, Ayling goes so far forward. So does Dallas. So whoever plays that position really needs to drop into a free as soon as we lose possession. And I don't think we've found a player that can do that as well as Phillips does. So although I might be frustrated with him going forward and his passing, we've definitely been more defensively sound when he's in the team.
100%.
Who's been filling the Phillips role?
Mainly Strike.
Everyone.
But I think Click's had a turn.
Shackleton and Click.
Well, I think Shackleton, when he came into the team, he went in Click's role. He went in Click's role and Click dropped in. That's what I saw anyway. But Dallas, I think, has covered it once or twice. Koch could do, but at the time when he had the injury to Phillips, we had the other defenders to sort it out, basically to have him in there. Llorente apparently could do a job as well, and I wouldn't either. But
I'd have Llorente in there.
But Ayling's obviously a very good option for centre back, as he showed against Villa. We kept a clean sheet, didn't we? Was that the first one? No, second one, wasn't it? Because we got a clean sheet against Sheffield United as well. But yeah, I like Ayling's a bit of a jack of all trades. He's so important.
Going forward, he's good at right back. He's good at centre back. So he really is the perfect player. He
does a job wherever, and like you say, like Dan says, he's always getting forward and he's always getting back. He's got a right engine on him, so he's invaluable to how we play, in my opinion. Although,
he's our best defender.
Without a doubt. I mean, Dallas is a winger playing at left back or occasionally at right back, but left back is where he seemed to find his feet a bit more, didn't he?
Dallas has done well, though.
But he's done all right.
Really well against Adama Traore, which I was impressed with.
He outmuscled him as well.
He again has quite a good engine. I think our biggest letdown at the moment is centre back, and I suppose when I had never thought of it like that until you said it, really, Dan, is because I've been frustrated with Phillips this season. I've probably
just because of his passing, his long-range passing and stuff.
I've not looked into actually how important he is to us in that defensive core, and that may be why we're conceding so many. And there isn't an archetype replacement for him. We don't. Whoever plays in that position is someone covering a position they don't normally play There isn't a straight out-and-out player there.
Would you argue Forshaw, obviously, is injured, but would you argue he would be the replacement?
He was at the time. I don't know if he would be now. He was before. In my opinion, he was before. I feel like when Click plays there, he's still looking to get forward too much. And Strike, he just doesn't know how to play that position. He's just really poor there. And I think Llorente would... I'm not sure how great of a tackler he is, but I know he's very good at passing the football. So he could be there spreading the ball wide from that position and still sit deep, which is really what we need. The problem is with strikers, I think he gets confused at where he's supposed to be. So Phillips knows if we lose the ball high up, he needs to drop in. He's now a centre-back. He's no longer a DM. He's now a centre-back. I think Pascal Strike just didn't really get that. And I think when
he was quite far forward, wasn't he, on Saturday?
He can afford to make a mistake, and he's going to be there back with the boys helping cover. So eventually we end up like a back five with Ayling, Koch, Phillips, Cooper, and Dallas when the ball's lost. But we haven't had that really. Phillips could probably be the big reason why we're seeing such terrible defensive performances at the moment.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. But I mean, Chelsea though, Dan, they've been flying high recently. They've actually started to score goals. Defense has definitely improved as well. Although they did concede a rare goal from Sheffield United. What was it? You said McGoldrick, did you say? Is that he scored 4 goals or something? 3 of them against Chelsea? Or was it 2?
Premiership goals, 3 have come against Chelsea.
I know. He's our bogey player. We come up against him, he just knows where the net is.
Were you nervous when they scored first? Did you have that feeling as a fan? It's always interesting, isn't it? But did you have the feeling of, oh no, not again? Or did you think we'll get back?
What annoyed me the most was one of the most experienced players that we got in the team, Kante, let Ballock go, because when the ball was played back to Norwood, Kante, for some unknown reason, thought he should go towards him when Ziyech was already going towards him. So that left Baldock open. And of course, the pass went back to him. I'm like, Kante, what are you doing? So,
what do you think the reason for the improved defense? I have my opinion why I think your defense is better now than the opening games. But what would you pinpoint that to? I could pinpoint it to one person, but I don't know how you'd pinpoint your defense improving so drastically, really, in reality, from 3-3 at Southampton to looking very difficult to concede.
Didn't you go 5 games without conceded a goal at one point as well, including Europe?
Including Europe as well, but they look really impressive.
We equaled or broke a record going back to Peter Cech's days at Chelsea, I believe.
Deal.
So
what would you put that down to, that turnaround?
See, I've said it from day one that the new signings needed time to gel. I wasn't a fan of Thiago Silva coming in, but I could see why he came in because of his experience. And I do think him and Zuma are now clicking. But Mendy is the man, I think. Mendy has come into that team and he's not punching balls away, he's catching them. He's commanding that defence, I think. I've been really impressed with Mendy so far. But Chilwell as well, since Chilwell's come in, he's really impressed me as well.
Chilwell's quality though, isn't he? I've always liked Chilwell, mate.
Yeah, I've had a certain Leicester fan in my ear saying, "Oh, he's rubbish. We've got 50 million out of you. It's great."
Loads of people say it's rubbish. I think he's been absolutely brilliant since you started using him. Your team, because he has such a dynamic going forward as well. I think Chilwell's brilliant. I don't know why people hate on him.
I'm really loving seeing Chilwell and Reece James on our wings getting forward. I'm loving it because they're both getting forward and the crosses are coming in and the options we got up top are just great.
So, it's the most stable your back line's been for a little bit, I think.
So I'm not getting carried away, but I am impressed with what I've seen lately, and I hope it can continue, and I believe it will.
So you would say Mendy's probably one of the biggest reasons to defend.
I can see the influence with Silva, but Mendy, we needed something. Obviously, there was a problem in goal. Kepa had his issues, but I think Mendy is the one that's sorted it.
See, I see differently. I think Silva. I've said for so long, and when you signed Thiago Silva, I've said the one thing that Chelsea's lacked in the back line for a long time is that leader at the back, that John Terry level player, that experienced pro, that leader who's going to keep the team together, get them all organised. And I think, bar one mistake, I think Thiago Silva's been absolutely brilliant at the back. Don't get me wrong, all the pieces have to fall into place. James has been fantastic. Chilwell's been great, and I agree. Mendy looks a lot more confident and reassured in the net than what Kepa did. But I think Thiago Silva's helped massively with the back line. It's when you read the names of the back line now, you think that's a good back line. There's always been a weak link for me. I don't feel like there is now.
Yeah, Frank seems quite settled on the back four now. He seems to have found the four that he can rely on.
I like Zuma. I've always liked Zuma.
I've liked Zuma as well. I mean, I had my doubts at times. And then, of course, he went on his loan to Everton and he did quite well. And he came back and I was like, okay, maybe he could step up now. I don't know where Christian's gone, though.
He's got a goal in him as well as Zuma.
Yeah. Christian was in the team for a while and that Rudiger disappeared. Now it seems to be the other way around. Rudiger's now seems to be on the bench and Christian's disappeared. So I
always thought Zuma and Christensen would be, to some degree, interchangeable, and then maybe Thiago Silva would drop out in Champions League games when, it's kind of done and dusted. But, I mean, you look at Thiago Silva, the man doesn't look his age. He's certainly got a few more years left in him, and I think if he has a great year for you, you'll take the option and have him for another season, because there's no reason not to.
No.
But, yeah, you're right. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I would have said that Rudiger and Christensen at one stage were probably better defenders that you've got than Zuma. Although I've always been a fan of Zuma, I would have said that they were more potentially likely to be favoured. And now, like you say, Zuma seems to be that partnership, Zuma and Silva. And I can't even remember last time Christian played. And Rudiger played a week ago or so? But again...
Yeah, Christensen's not been in the team for a while. So it's...
Was he injured?
I don't think he is. I just think he's just not making the squad. It seemed like Rudiger was on his way out and then he didn't leave in the window. And then all of a sudden he is now making the bench, and Christensen is.
Who would you rather have in your start? Well, beginning of the season, who would you have had in your starting lineup for defence?
Is this before we signed Silva?
Well, no, include Silva.
You've got all your players signed. Who would you have had as your back line?
And say Rudiger wasn't going to be likely to leave at the time.
Yeah. I probably would have gone for Christensen and Zuma.
Christensen's that good, yeah?
I've been a fan of Christensen for some time. He had his 2 years on loan in Germany,
right?
And he was really impressive. So when he came back, I was like, please give him a chance, because so many times we send players out on loan and then they come back and then we just sell them. Because it's too, you've got your Lukaku's, your De Bruyne's, just Salah. It's just too many that come back and we just get rid of them. So I was hoping Christensen wouldn't be added to that list.
So whenever I've seen Christian play, I've always thought he's always had a mistake in him.
Yeah, but then I've always thought that the Chelsea back line's biggest issue is the complete partnership, why there's always been mistakes. That's how I've always seen it. Especially when you had David Luiz playing alongside people, you're bound to be nervous, aren't you, at the back there? And
something I wouldn't have done.
Zuma and Christensen, though. Yeah. Thiago Silva would always be the first name on the team sheet for me, just because of what he brings experience. What Chelsea haven't had for so long now is that solid experienced player that probably won't make very many mistakes and is a leader.
Well, a player I wouldn't have sold would have been Cahill. See, Terry obviously left for Villa for the year, and we still had Cahill. I would have kept Cahill.
Who's better, though, Cahill or Thiago Silva?
They're very different players, aren't they?
No, but in terms of your defence has definitely needed a leader for a while. Yeah,
100% we needed a leader. So
if you're having a leader in that defence, who would you have rather had, Cahill or Thiago Silva?
Okay, I've gotten on board now with Silva, and I do value what he brings to the team.
What didn't you like about him?
His age.
What put you off?
Yeah.
Was it purely his age?
It's purely his age and the fact that he's, 35? I believe.
Would you feel the same about Messi and Ronaldo, though?
Ronaldo's proven he can go to a different league and do the business.
Messi, Thiago Silva.
Now he has.
No. He's only played
before PSG.
Yeah, in his 20s.
It doesn't make a difference. Ronaldo played in England in his 20s. He hasn't played there since.
Yeah, but he's not disputing. He's not disputing Ronaldo though.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying Ronaldo was in his 20s in England, and he went to Spain in his 20s, and he came to Italy in his 30s. He's shown he can do it. There's always been that big question mark over whether Messi can.
Because never left.
There is definitely that question mark on Messi, but I don't. What has there been a question mark on Thiago Silva?
in my head.
He's a Brazilian defender, yes.
It's just interesting because everywhere he's gone, he's been adored and been arguably.
He's always been a tank, hasn't he? But wherever he's been.
Yeah, obviously I can respect that he is a well-known defender and he is a decent defender for the team.
Hey, if you don't want him, we'll have him.
But when we need him, I'm just someone who's convinced the players we have can come good. I like to push the youth as well. So someone.
No, I get that.
Yeah, I get that.
I guess for me it was easier because I've always been convinced that Chelsea's defences performed so poorly, especially in big matches, because they didn't have that big name leader at the back, and that's how I've always thought. One of the key things you need to do to improve Chelsea, you need to sign that John Terry-esque, that big name, that leader at centre-back. And as soon as I heard Thiago Silva, no money paid, I thought that is an absolute deal. Because the man didn't look off the pace. Whether he was at PSG in France, they got to a Champions League final. The guy didn't look off the pace at all. So I thought he was a brilliant signing. But it's interesting to see a different perspective of you would have preferred actually to have given the younger centre-backs a go instead.
Yeah, that's how I think, because we've got so many decent young talents. I would rather give them a chance. I mean, look at Mason Mount. He had his season at Derby, fantastic season. He came back. He's now gotten into our team. He's a first-team regular.
I feel like Mason Mount proved it, though, in the first team quite quickly. I think your defence has not been proving themselves for a while.
No. I mean, I still hope Tomori will get his chance because he is.
So do
I like him, yeah.
I'm a fan of Tomori. So I'm not against Silva, and I do like what he's doing for our team now. But I would have had other choices if I was in charge.
I think we should do best signing, all three of us. Who do you think, at this stage of the season, who's been Chelsea's best bit of business at this stage?
Werner.
I'd probably say, based on the performance of in the early stages, I know you're probably going to say Thiago, but I'd have to say Mendy. I'd have to say Mendy. Because he was just letting in so many goals with Kepa, stupid goals as well.
I think he will probably be the most underrated signing you've got in terms of the talent you signed going forward.
I know what he's going to say.
I think Hakim Ziyech is an absolute beast.
Yeah,
I think his ability on the ball, his ability to pass the ball, he creates chances. I haven't been impressed with Werner. He's missed too many. He missed the gilt-edged chance at the weekend again, where he tried to dink it past the keeper and it didn't go in. I've seen him do that a lot. I've seen him hit the woodwork a lot. I think Werner in a season will be a world beater. I think Havertz hasn't seen enough and he's not playing in his favoured position, which is just unfortunate that you don't play a cam. And I think Havertz is best at a cam. But Ziyech, from word go, coming into a squad that's difficult to come into because you've got the likes of Pulisic and other players playing where you were going to play, it looked but I haven't seen him put a foot wrong. Your attack looks unreal with him coming forward because he just asks so many questions to the defenders, and he's a great passer of the football as well. And I think he'll go under the radar by the end of the season because your Werner and your Havertz were bigger deals.
The only reason why Ziyech is not my signing of the season is because he's only recently come back and played a handful of games. So I'm just reserving judgment. Sure, the games he's played in, I've loved him. His left foot is amazing. And against Sheffield United, he was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. 3 assists, was it? Or did he get all 4? Did he get all 4 of it?
He got 2 assists. Could have been more.
Yeah.
But he's been fantastic.
He played Werner through, didn't he, for that?
Yeah. He's been fantastic, sure. And I can't wait to see him playing more often. And Pulisic when he gets back to full fitness.
I think he brings something that you didn't have because you've always had great pace and great dribblers and great running talent going forward. And Mount I love Mount. And every now and again, though, I question his decision making. He gets really giddy about trying to get himself a shot off. Yeah. Which I understand because when they come off for him, they're unbelievable. He scored a screamer earlier on in the season. But I just feel like Ziyech is going to look so much more from that right-hand side to put that ball in. And I think he'll get plenty of assists this season and still get goals as well. I'm just really impressed. I think he's played 3 games now, maybe.
That's the thing. He's played like 3 or 4 games.
In his first 3 games, I've been more impressed with what he's done than I have with Havertz and Werner in all the games they've played.
Havertz, sure, yeah, he has started off slowly, but you are starting to see glimpses of what he can bring to the team.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But I feel like Ziyech has come straight in and gone bang.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Werner and Havertz haven't. They're definitely going to take more time to work out how that works.
But I don't know the stats, but I'm fairly sure Werner's got 8 goals in 12 games or something.
We were counting Europe as well, but I think Werner should probably have about 15 goals in them.
But he is still finding his feet, and he needed those first few goals to get him going.
I agree. I still just think he misses too many chances. If he can cut that out throughout the rest of the season, he'll be absolutely fine. Because there's going to be games when I'm thinking when you play against the bigger teams, he's not going to get all these chances. So, like he scored at the weekend, but he squandered 2 opportunities by hitting the crossbar, I think he did, and putting that one wide. Against the bigger side, you might only get one of them.
True.
And if you don't put it in the back of it, that's my only thing with Werner. But I think with players like Ziyech feeding him the ball, he's bound to get more opportunities, and it's going to be a consistent thing. I really like Werner. I just think he's got that in him where I don't know what it is. He can miss, and he needs a couple of chances to get his goal. And against the bigger teams, the bigger ties, you're just not going to get all those chances.
I'm going to say, obviously, I'll just have a look at what other games have happened. And obviously, pay-per-view coming to an end. We were on about it before. We said how disgusting it was. What were your thoughts on it, Dan?
It's awful.
It was shocking, wasn't it?
See, on one hand, I could understand because I think it was Miles who came out and said you need to take into the fact that you're not paying for your travel, you're not paying for your beer, for your food. So many different things you're not paying for. Your alcohol before the game, before you get into the stadium. So he was trying to add up how much you would have been paying for the travel, the transport, everything.
Such a terrible viewpoint from him. And I like Miles, but that viewpoint is such for me, an idiotic viewpoint for the sheer fact that going to the game is a day. It's a day out. You don't have to do all those things if you don't want. You don't have to buy the beer. You don't have to buy your pie, the scarf, the program. You could just go and watch the match, but you're paying for the day out, the atmosphere for the day. You know what I mean? It's like watching a video of you flying on a plane and flying on a plane. Oh, but you saved money on the plane because you only watched it on video. It's such a stupid thing. Or watching Leeds Fest, right? So you can watch that on BBC. Well, at least you didn't pay all that money. Think about it. If they charged you 15 quid to watch Leeds Fest on BBC on pay-per-view, well, look how much you've saved from not going to it. It's just, it doesn't add. It doesn't track. I get what he was trying to do and say, well, look how much money you've saved. But you haven't. You haven't saved money because in this scenario, in the world right now, you can't go to the game.
People don't have money as well because they're not working and stuff.
Have that atmosphere. It's like when you go on holiday, you spend more on food than you do on a normal day. You don't think on your normal day when you don't spend as much. Well, at least I've saved this money on my food because I'm not spending it. It's completely different from watching a game on TV to going to the ground and having the day out, whether it be the beers after, the beers before, just the entire day surrounded by friends, sometimes with family. There is no way that a £15 pay-per-view game is anywhere close to what that is.
I don't think any of them have been a box office game neither so far.
Well, there was one, I believe. I think it was Aston Villa Southampton.
Villa Leeds, that was a blockbuster. That was pay-per-view.
Was it?
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, though. I hear the arguments. Don't mean I agree with them, though.
Remember how we watched it, Matt?
Yeah, I do now. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'm trying to think back. The gears were turning. I'm just thinking. Yeah, I do remember now. Yeah.
Answers go around. Carry on, Dan.
Just saying that I wouldn't have paid it myself, even if Chelsea had been on one of them. I'm sure they were at one point. But yeah, it's not good. If it was $4.99, maybe.
I think £5 would have probably been a bit more acceptable, but even
for football, doesn't it? Though.
Yeah.
You're going to have to tack on more and more to watch it. I think it just sets, and luckily it looks like it didn't work very well.
No.
But I think it just sets a bad theme that this is how football could be consumed, and it just irritates me that in foreign countries they get our game for so much cheaper than the actual fans in the country. It just drives me insane. It makes me so angry that you can be in different countries and watch these games for so much cheaper, especially in the US.
Do you think it's because of the economy in different countries? Like, we might get paid a lot more than they do?
Well, it might. You've got to add how successful it probably is viewership-wise in the US because of the times the games are on. But I don't know what it's got to do with. I mean, at the end of the day, though, it shouldn't be as expensive as it is in this country, regardless of just the TV packages as they are. So to make it more expensive, because if you're someone who only watches your team, to have Sky and BT to just watch your team is extremely expensive over the year. It's definitely the price of a season ticket.
And well, yeah, you said, didn't you, if you add it all up, yeah.
Way less games. So if your team has 2 pay-per-view games, it's 30 quid a month extra on top of what you're already paying, which, isn't shy of £100. You've spread that over 12 months. We've got a season ticket, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mind-boggling how we could even come to it in the first place. Like I said, just the current climate where people aren't working. If they're not, they're getting furlough money, so they've got less income as well. And it's just like I said, trying to take advantage of us all when we can't really do what about it, sort of thing, unless you go the dodgy stream route, But
it was a strange decision to make during a pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. If it had been normal every day, I think, but maybe not 15 quid, but if it had been a bit less, I don't think anyone really would have batted an eye. They'd probably thought, oh yeah, nice one to get to watch some extra games, they won't normally see.
I even think you could have tacked on a tenner extra a month on your bill. Yeah, I think you'd have gone, all right, then I'll pay for like the Football Plus package.
Yeah, exactly.
And pay an extra tenner on my bill, but for it to be 15 quid a game, I just thought it was disgusting.
Yeah, it's appalling. A few other bits I want to mention. One other bit is the West Ham Fulham game. At the end of the game, you would be absolutely fuming, wouldn't you, if it was your player?
Ben Rama had a good game, man.
Oh, sorry? Ben Rama? Yeah, but I'm on about that chuffing penalty at the end from Ademola Lookman.
I don't understand why he's the penalty taker.
Mitrovic?
He's not Mitrovic, but he went on pitch.
Was he not on the pitch? I thought he was.
Well, on Match of the Day, they said Lookman took it because Mitrovic is injured.
Oh, unless he was still on the pitch but injured, maybe.
But then, if it's not Mitrovic...
There's no way you're telling me that a fit Mitrovic on that pitch doesn't take the ball off Lookman and take the penalty.
He was on the pitch.
That's what was being said on Match of the Day, that Lookman took it because Mitrovic was injured. So I can only go on that.
Right.
You've also got your captain, Kenny.
I'm surprised Kenny didn't take it. I thought Kenny would have taken it. Yeah. Obviously, did Lookman win it? I think Lookman might have won the penalty.
Oh, was it one of them? He won it, so he wanted to take it.
And I think that's what they've gone down the lines with. But, I mean, right. When you're 1-0 down, you're a relegation threatened team. And we've said this, though. Fulham are starting to look better. But West Ham should have easily won that game, in my opinion. They were far better than Fulham. And you're on loan. And you're in. This is the last kick of the game. There's not another kick after this. This is the last kick of the football game. And you get to step up. You get to take this penalty that can rescue a point, which could be a huge point at the end of the season. We've seen how tight it can be. And you step up and you do what he did. And it doesn't go in.
It's just unforgivable, isn't it?
He would be playing the next game if it was up to me. And I think he's been brilliant for them since he's come in. Connection, but you just can't do that. There's got to be, and fair play, he's put Scott Parker in an awful position because he's got to come out and kind of be like, well, and why? Just smash it
why?
In. I just don't get why he was trying to be fancy with it. You're not that good of a player. You're not good enough to be at Everton as far as they're concerned. You're now not good enough to be at Leipzig as far as they're concerned. You've got an opportunity for a bit of glory and to be giving your team a point, which you're going to be applauded for. Lookman converts the penalty, and you do that. And I just don't know what was going through his head. I'd love to have known what I'd like to know is what's going through the Fulham player's head as he kicks it, because you can imagine that Tom Kenny or whoever's just stood there going, what the fuck was that? Because why the fuck has he done that? And you got
they're ripping him for season.
Like, it'll be all right, mate. No, fuck you won't. You might get relegated by a point.
Yeah.
So, no, I've never seen it like it. It was how bizarre.
So it's been going a bit weird at the top, isn't it? A few different leaders. We've had like Leicester, Southampton, Liverpool, all of it across the weekend at some point. And Spurs actually, for that matter as well. But how do you see? Do you think it's going to continue like this, or do you think there's going to be some breakaways at some point?
I said that Southampton would win the league.
No, you didn't. You said Everton did.
I did say Everton.
And since then, they've lost all 3 games.
Back in a couple of horses, is there? And although, so all right, I got Everton wrong probably, but you did say that Southampton would really miss Danny Ings, and I said they've got Che Adams.
And it's been one game.
You said Shane Long, and I said Che Adams, and it may have only been one game, G, but he did score an absolute banger to send them top of the league for a brief period of time.
He is looking very impressive.
Thank you, Dan. I agree with you, mate. He's a mighty fine player. You've got Tottenham. I think out of them that are up there, right? I think Southampton will have a great season potentially, depending what other teams do. Could be a Europa League season. Hasenhuttl got them playing really well, and he's been there a few years now. Kind of got to grips with the team and everything. But I think you've got to say Liverpool. The teams up there now. Do you think Spurs can be chucked in with Mourinho this year, and probably their ability to pick up points
like they did
with the team they've got, because they just keep plodding along, picking up points. We said it last week.
Gone under the radar,
just plodding along, picking up points. People aren't really talking about them. Do we think they can actually have a title challenge this year? Because it's going to be a freak year, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a freak season anyway. Do we think that Spurs actually... Because, I mean, Leicester, you could argue, could be up there as well. Depends how they do when they play the top 6 sides. I mean, they've smashed Man City already. So, But do we reckon... Because I don't see Leicester as an actual title contender. I think they could be set for a very good season. But I do see Spurs, if you look at the squad top to bottom, there's no reason why they couldn't plod along and at least be in the equation.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Spurs, with Mourinho in the mix as well, because obviously he's a winner, you know. And you'll obviously vouch for that, I guess, as well, Dan. We former manager and that. But, and you've just said there, pick up... That was a hard game against West Brom. West Brom played really well, especially defensively, and they managed to nick it at the end. And, you know, even inside of a good team, if you play badly and still pick up wins...
What was interesting is so they started with Kane, Son, and Bale.
Yeah.
And usually if that didn't work out, obviously take Bale out and you put somebody else in there. Lamella or Lucas Moura. Usually if that didn't work out, you didn't really have hope to turn to the bench there. He just did. He didn't really have hope to turn to the bench there. But this time he could bring on Lucas Moura and Virginis, and it just changed the game. They looked so much more threatening going forward. He practically played 4 up top. And they've got a lot more weapons this time around. Dembele looks brilliant.
Yeah, I think he went off with an injury potentially. I don't know how bad it was. I
think so. See that.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think it was just Bartley just like run over him like a fucking tractor onto his toe. And
I said didn't get a trophy this year. I don't think it'll be the league. I think it'll probably be the Europa League. I just think that with Mourinho, he is a winner. He just is a winner, isn't he? And there's a lot of games that are happening at the moment, like the Burnley game that, you know, maybe they would have drawn in the past, but they just keep winning. They just keep picking up these wins, even without playing well. They seem to keep picking up these wins. I think the mentality in the team is a bit different for once.
I think McGillen's been a good signing as well, him at left back. He's been brilliant.
Doherty as well, though.
Yeah,
played well.
As well, yeah.
He got the assist.
Yeah, he did, yeah. I think he dinked it over, didn't he? And he just stole in and headed it over. Keeper shouldn't have come, really, in my opinion, but it's what happens, isn't it?
It wasn't the easiest finish, though.
Sometimes there's that saying it's either going to be a world-class goal or it's going to be a mistake, and unfortunately for me, it would seem like it was more of a mistake by the keeper, but you might see it otherwise for that particular game. But because I think if he'd have stayed at home, just easy save. Because Harry Kane,
yeah, probably.
You know, I don't think he was looking. He was just trying to get on it.
How good the ball was.
Potentially, made him indecisive.
He needed to go and get it.
Potentially, yeah, it was a good ball. I'll give him that. But yeah,
I think they'd be the outside team I tipped.
Yeah,
them and if Chelsea stay on the right track, Chelsea, they would be the only two that I think could push in there.
So the only thing that I'd say about Tottenham, watching the highlights back of the game against West Brom, they only did just narrowly win that game. because a lot of the highlights I saw, West Brom were doing quite well.
They played all right.
I mean, they're still missing that finishing touch. The players that they got, it's still a very championship team. But
this goal scorers ain't got.
And I think this was the first time that you got to see Kane, Son, and Bale start together.
So yeah, it was the first time. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people were jumping on that, thinking, "Oh yeah, we're gonna bang goals in." I think they maybe got carried away.
Potentially.
But could you not argue that it was a really tough fought game that they came away with 3 points with?
Very tough game, yes. Player that I am happy to see getting his opportunity now is Ndombele. Because he did struggle last season. It reminds me so much of when Chelsea signed Bakayoko.
Well, they had the same issue with Sissoko, didn't they?
Yeah.
Sissoko's first season at Tottenham was dreadful, and it took him a long time to settle in. And in the documentary, they showed how it was basically the same for Ndombele. He was really struggling to settle in two minds about whether he wanted to stay or not.
Yeah. So, they won that game, and it was like you said, the keeper probably shouldn't have come, but maybe he thought he could just get there before Kane. But I thought they were lucky, but they do have good options coming off the bench now. So everywhere you look in that Spurs team, it is a very good team. So could they win a title this season? A trophy, sorry? Yes. Title?
They could, but it's unlikely.
It's unlikely.
Because you still got to remember about Man City and Liverpool, who obviously played each other as well.
Yeah.
Gabriel Jesus got on the score sheet on his return. Good finish as well, if I remember rightly. Good turn, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a good finish.
I've always rated him, though. I know some people don't.
It's just because he's not as good as Aguero, isn't it? That's what it is. He's in his shadow.
I think he is. He's just injured too much. I think he's still extremely young. I think he's not the age that Aguero was when he went to Man City. He's still got a lot of time left to become prolific, but he's definitely dangerous for Man City when he's up top. He's definitely a danger. He's more the future of that strike force than anyone else. And I think if they can keep him fit, he's going to cause problems. If you get him in front of that goal, it's very rare that he doesn't create something or make something happen.
It might even take Aguero to leave for us to see his true potential.
I think he's in the out of contract this summer. Aguero, I believe I saw a story on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the end of this season or the end of next season.
I think it's the end of next season.
But I'm sure
I saw someone on Athletics advertising something like that. Imagining Man City without him because he's out of contract, but I might be wrong.
I'm sure Aguero has also said that when his contract finishes at City, he wants to go back to Argentina.
Yeah, I think I've read that as well. How true it is, we'll have to wait and see.
Tevez did that, didn't he?
Yeah, went back to Boca, didn't he? Boca Juniors.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think it's one of them. I suppose, as you said, there's two ways to look at Spurs. It's they played badly and got lucky, or they played badly and still managed to win 3 points. And you can look at it either way, can't you? I suppose I look at it from the side of they've done that a few times now, whereas they wouldn't have picked up those 3 points in the past.
So
I feel like Mourinho will carry them with that.
Yeah. I think some people maybe look at Bale as well, thinking he's come back to Spurs, so he's going to click just like that. But he's been gone for 7 years. So
it's playing a different role as well.
He needs to find his feet. It's not the same team that he left.
Definitely needs to find his match fitness.
Yeah, of course.
Because you see glimpses in games that he plays where his footwork is just unbelievable. His touch is unbelievable, and then he goes missing for patches. And I think he just needs to find that main fitness. And what you've also got to remember is he was the focal point of the attack.
Exactly.
When he was there last. He's not anymore. He's just an option going forward. He's not the focal point of their attack. He's not going to be able to do what he did last time because they're not going to play the ball through him constantly. Harry Kane is the focal point. But
I'm going to say just on Harry Kane. Do you think he should be considered one of the Premier League greats?
He's one of the best strikers.
I'm going to say because he's just matched
150 goals.
He matched
now.
Mike Owen's tally, and he was 9th on the list of all-time scorers, and he's the second to get to that amount of something daft, only to Alan Shearer.
He's a better striker than Michael Owen.
Yeah.
The question is, he is probably the one striker who is closest to breaking Alan Shearer's record.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily, yeah.
But will it be at Spurs?
I think so, yeah.
I think
that's the question.
It depends like I said, how they do this season, because Mourinho's there. If they get Champions League, there's no reason for him to leave, is there?
I think he's bought into Mourinho's project.
Yeah, same goes.
And he's probably seeing more change in that Spurs side now than he's seen in quite a long time.
Oh yeah, came through under Poch, didn't he? So he'll only known Poch's way. I might have seen a few other bits before. Well,
I'm sure he
went out on loan. They like later or into someone.
First ever game for him was Sherwood, I think.
Oh, was it Team Sherwood? Was it? All right, I didn't realise that. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, because what is he? 27 now.
Yeah,
I think he is. Yeah, he brought through 21, 22. So yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, yeah.
So I think for me, he's one of the best strikers in the world,
as it stands,
without a doubt. He just is, and I don't see him slowing down. I think he's going to continue to do that. He's just a brilliant finisher of the football, but he brings a lot more to the team as well. He drops deep. I think it was actually Kane who laid the ball off to Doherty. So it just kind of shows you how good he is actually as an all-round striker.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot more of that dropping deep. He's admitted that in an interview.
He's impressive, and I think if you're Harry Kane right now, your biggest question would be is where do I go? If I weren't at Spurs, where would I go? Where I would play? And I can't name a club that he should go to where he'll play. And he's going to be going to a good.
Well, you don't think he'll start? You don't think he'd be the first choice on the team sheet and any other team any other big team in Premier League, like Man United?
No, because I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at what's the point in leaving Tottenham and got Man United?
Yeah, all right, yeah, fair. Okay.
So he won't get in Liverpool's squad for me.
Well, for me, I suppose Jota's doing all right, but Firmino's not been great, has he, this season? I don't
think he'd get in Man City's squad either, the way they play. So yeah, he could go to Man United, but I mean. Is that a step forward?
Probably backwards now, isn't it? But Man United fans would probably argue otherwise. Let us know in the comments.
If I'm him, there's no other English club, because the only two really for him that he could go to that's an upgrade to Tottenham, realistically, is Man City or Liverpool. At this stage, I don't think the way Liverpool play suits Harry Kane. So, I just don't think that would be the move that he makes. And I don't think it'd be the move that Klopp made or Liverpool made, because they can't afford it. They don't spend that kind of money. Very rarely do Liverpool spend big money. It's because they've made it.
Because they need it as well. They need that. Like they've spent big in the positions that they needed. Alisson and Van Dijk.
Sterling and Coutinho funded the team they've got now.
Yeah.
So unless you sold someone for big money, Harry Kane couldn't come in. And I think he'd just be lost at Man City. Man City doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think Man City would be mega appealing to him either. So then it's abroad. And abroad, I don't see any of them being a great decision for him at this moment in time. Because really, if you went abroad, you're looking at Real Madrid, really.
But the Bale advised him otherwise, wouldn't he? Surely.
Well, yeah,
at this
probably.
Moment in time.
I think where he would go would be Real Madrid, if you were going to one. I don't see him going to Paris. I don't see him going to Italy. Maybe Real Madrid. Like Owen went to Real Madrid, Bex went to Real Madrid. Maybe similar situation, but. I don't see him being in that much of a better position at Real Madrid, apart from maybe being able to win the league. Then what? Because they're not having a great time at the moment. Lost to Shakhtar, nearly lost to Inter, lost to Cadiz. So I think he'll be happy where he is, as long as Daniel Levy keeps proving to him that they're trying to improve and trying to grow the club. New stadium, Jose Mourinho, arguably one of the best managers in the world. I think Harry Kane will stay put. I think Harry Kane could end his career there. Unless he goes to America.
There is one player at Tottenham that I think would fit well into the Man City squad.
Son.
And that's Dele.
No.
Dele Alli.
What?
He's obviously on a massive downhill moment.
You feeling a bit poorly?
You're right there, mate, yeah? Looking a little bit green.
Hear me out, because I know it's a bit of a wild one. I think going under Pep, he could regain that confidence that he's clearly lost. And they've not replaced David Silva. I'm not saying that he is a replacement, but I think he could go to that squad and add something.
But what makes you think? Because from really what we're understanding, he's lazy and a little bit petulant. What makes you think that Pochettino and Mourinho can't get anything out of him, but Pep can? Yeah.
Well, Pochettino did, didn't he?
He got a season.
They'd argue 2 seasons, won't they, with Spurs fans?
Maybe, but that second season where he were in England, he deteriorated quickly after his injury. And he's never been the same as those 2 seasons with him and Kane.
Now, why Mourinho can't? That is a big question.
Because he's lazy.
It is because he's lazy.
Mourinho's called him out for it.
We've all seen that. something just tells me if he was to get a change of scenery, and Pep being the manager that he is.
Who does he play ahead of?
And I would under the assumption that Foden would be the David Silva replacement. That's what I would say. So
I don't know, because I think David Silva started from deeper, and I think Dele Alli plays Cam, and Foden's better forward.
I suppose Silva, as he got older, dropped further back. But
I don't think you can replace Silva.
Right, fair dues. He was very good player.
I just don't think there is anyone like him. He was so good on the edges. That, and then actually getting into the box, because he was so good at so much. Like, I think Foden's brilliant at getting into the box, but I don't think he's as good deep as Silva is. So it's like, how do you replace that? I just don't think you can. Sometimes there's certain players in there in the world you just can't replace. Chelsea, Makelele. You just can't replace that, and you never will be able to. You might find someone who's he's the next blah blah blah, but he's not. He's not. He just does a decent job. So he for me is the same. Real Madrid and Zidane, can't replace that. He's just irreplaceable. Real Madrid now and Ronaldo, you can't replace Ronaldo. Hazard, bring him in. You just can't replace him. So for me, Man City don't replace him. You can't. You just need to find a way to play without him.
So is Ali the next best thing?
God no. I just don't get. I don't get how he gets in the team.
I'm not saying that he'd be an instant starter at Man City, but working alongside Pep, Kevin De Bruyne, something might reignite that fire inside him that he's clearly gone and lost at Spurs.
Do you not think he's at an age now where, and this probably will be what happens, but because we're talking theoreticals, do you not think he's at an age now where he probably won't get that back?
I can only see him going backwards now.
He's worked under some great managers, and he had his height, his moment in at the top, playing really well. Do you think he'll ever? Because for me, watching, we got a little bit of an insight into him, which was nice. But for me, he just seems extremely lazy, and like he's not really that bothered. He's actually quite happy when football will be over, done and dusted, because he's not that arsed.
So are we putting Dele Alli in the same sort of light as Jack Wilshere? Because when he,
I'm thinking more Ross Barkley, me.
No, not even Ross. I think Jack wants to play. His body doesn't let him. I put Dele Alli to not as extreme. I put him in the same realms as Adel Taarabt.
Yeah,
unbelievable talent, but lazy. And Taarabt, if you ask anyone who managed him, will probably say he could have been one of the best players in the world, but he was too lazy, and that's how I liken him, because there's not many players like that. There just isn't many players that are like him, and it does seem like he's not bothered. He's not arsed. He's not that fussed. He's catching his paycheck, and he don't really care that much about winning stuff. Because his effort's clearly not there. A new manager comes in, you would imagine that he kind of fell out of favour with Poch. New manager comes in, Jose Mourinho's coming in. Boom, I'm going to be on my game. Training session number 2. Dele, why are you so lazy? I just think he's lost all his fire, all his passion for it.
Which is a shame, because
I think he thinks he's better than what he is. And I think when you've got that complex, you don't put the work in because you feel like you're good anyway. So you don't put the extra work.
It's kind of been on the decline, really. It's been living off that, like I said, there's 2 seasons, one arguably, where he got 19 goals or something from midfield, which was, don't get me wrong, really,
yeah.
It was really, really impressive at the time, and everyone was thinking, wow, we've got this awesome kid, and it didn't even get an England team now. He's nowhere near it.
Everybody loved the idea of having a link of Dele Alli and Harry Kane in the England squad, because they've got the link at club level as well, and I think he had one, was it the World Cup? Yeah, he had one tournament really, and he
didn't really do that well, did he?
Didn't really do much. Yeah. And to be fair, it's a terrible tournament, because that was the downfall of Jesse Lingard as well. But it just, for me, seems like he's not bothered. And if Mourinho can't get it out of you and Poch can't get it out of you, I'm not sure who can. I'm not sure who can actually motivate you, because a lot of the players in that Spurs squad now, to me, really look like they've bought into what Mourinho wants to do and want to play for him, just as much as it looked like for you know, the majority of the time, they all wanted to play for Poch and believed in what Poch was doing. And the stadium probably came at the wrong time for Poch. And Mourinho's now taking what Poch started onto the next level. Now they can spend a little bit more. They can do a bit more. There's a bit more freedom. And I just think Delhi's fallen more and more down the pecking order as the teams progressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, I think it's about time we wrap it up, I guess. Let us know your thoughts on all the subjects that we've discussed today. Obviously, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out all the socials, which will be on the screen now. Yorkie's got his mug out, as per usual. I'm going to have some end music, I forgot what they call it now. when the lines come up, what do they call that? Come on, help me out. Yeah, credit music. There we go. Fucking hell, man. But thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back next week. Thank you very much for watching.
Just need some EastEnders music now.
Yeah. Goodbye. Do.